Look, as me and you have talked about a lot, like it's all about putting the data points together. And you come out of that call, I'd actually say incrementally more bullish, not even just on Nvidia, but on the overall AI theme. Because of the Blackwell delays, if there was going to be one, what I view headwind or black cloud, they put that to rest in terms of yields and any of the issues there. Demand's outstripping supply anywhere from 10 to 15 to 1.
Right.
So when I look at the underlying enterprise demand, not just in big tech, but even like when you look at sovereign and you look at what I think ultimately is going to be the rest of sort of enterprise, this is a story I still view, call it bottom of the first, top of the second inning. I continue to view it. It's LeBron in high school and Akron.
So you really do still believe it's that early?
We're only 3%, maybe 5% tops of enterprises globally have even gone down this path.
Right.
So it comes down to like when, sometimes I think like it's very easy, like not see forest to the trees, like in terms of like, okay, October quarter, 32.5 billion, whispers 33 billion. But now the focus is more like, this is a company ultimately going toward 50, 75 billion, eventually 100 billion per quarter.
Yeah.
And I think that, to me, is really the trend, not just for Nvidia, but for what this means for the rest of tech.
Something seismic is about to reshape the financial landscape of one of the most prestigious stock indices in the world. On everyone's lips this week is the jaw-dropping announcement from S&P Global. Nvidia, a titan in the AI chip-making arena, will soon make its entrance into the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Standing alongside it in this induction is Sherwin-Williams, marking an era-defining shift in the Dow's composition. With a market valuation soaring past a mind-blowing $3 trillion, Nvidia appears set on challenging Apple's reign. As it prepares to replace Intel, the whisper echoing across trading floors is this a new dawn in semiconductor dominance? But wait, this story isn't just about inclusion. It's about a new semiconductor era unfolding before our very eyes. Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy.
In the semis, I think the stocks was up 1.3% roughly. You had a pretty good day for Nvidia. I believe you're getting Micron results fairly
after the close.
After the close. How do you read that, Mike, in terms of one day we care and the next day we kind of don't? I mean, again, for the part of the market that for much of the year was the driving force.
Sure. I mostly read it as, and this sounds really deterministic, but the market has kind of decided that we're comfortable with these levels. You don't have aggressive selling at S&P 57 and change just yet. And so on a given day, if the macro cooperates, if we have to rely on the handful of semi-stocks that look like they're relatively oversold, you got this headline out of, not even a headline, just a story that Jensen Huang maybe is going to slow his sale plan.
Yeah.
Or stop it for now. That shouldn't really matter. It wasn't really a huge swing factor in terms of the value of the stock on offer for Nvidia. But nonetheless, it was a pretty good excuse for that to work. I think it's much more about, on a given day, it's either banks and small caps working or it's the Magnificent Seven. Banks and small caps working really relies on soft landing and Fed cutting rates. The rest of it just relies on the mood about, the long-term secular growth story.
As the stock market tells its ever-evolving story, there's a palpable sense of excitement buzzing through the trading halls. Nvidia's slated inclusion into the prestigious Dow Jones Industrial Average is akin to casting a tech superstar in an ensemble cast previously dominated by legacy giants. The shift isn't just a testament to Nvidia's robust growth trajectory, but is reflective of a broader industry trend where AI is no longer just the future. It's here and redefining what's hot on stock ticks worldwide. Why the buzz, you ask? For starters, Nvidia isn't simply making chips, they're crafting the very backbone of tomorrow's AI dreams. And let's face it, when tech juggernauts like Microsoft, Amazon, and even the social media kingpin, Meta, are snapping up Nvidia's state-of-the-art GPUs, you've got to pay attention. Nvidia's journey to the Dow was not serendipitous, but rather a meticulously charted course, further dramatized by its strategic 10-for-1 stock split back in May. The company cleverly reduced its share price, smoothing its entry without tipping the scales too much. This stock split wasn't just a gimmick. It was a calculated move to ensure that its ascent into the Dow was as graceful as its exponential growth curve. But before we go any further, if you want to keep up with Nvidia's latest updates and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates.
Interesting today is the market's again being held up by Nvidia and the related,
What do you mean today?
Scrappy
I don't know what day of the week it is, Mike, but I do know the market's been held up by Nvidia for about 2 years.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. Since the end of the second quarter, since June 30th, Nvidia's flat. The equal-weighted S&P is up 8%. So the rest of the market has come around to doing what everybody was calling for it to do, which is broaden out since then. Now, you do wonder if Nvidia now is getting a little bit of respite here. It's kind of churned around these same levels. It's around the mid-120s. This seems like, you see that chart right there? It could finally break this pattern of having, kind of lower peaks. We'll see. That, to me, is what the market is clinging to today to try and keep from a broader pullback, because most stocks are down today.
Speaking of AI, UBS is highlighting some major headwinds hitting active managers. According to the firm, large cap managers have 4.4% exposure to Nvidia, despite the chipmaker accounting for 6.6% of the S&P 500. In other words, that's the biggest underweight position ever in Nvidia, causing managers to underperform by about 130 basis points this year.
But what of Nvidia's predecessor, Intel? Once a stalwart in the realm of semiconductors, Intel now finds itself in an unenviable position. The powerhouse that once laid claim to PC chip manufacturing supremacy is now sidelined, largely due to its slower transition into AI innovations. Intel's recent decisions, including a heavy restructuring and an intent focus on cost-saving measures, signaled by a notable workforce reduction, paint a complex picture of a once-dominant entity striving to reclaim lost ground. Ever the underdog story, Intel still has its eyes set on a comeback, but for now, it's Nvidia's moment to shine as a cornerstone of the Dow, taking a page out of the AI playbook that's been written by none other than Nvidia itself. As the tech chatter heated up, social media witnessed diverse reactions. Beth Kindig of IO Fund offered a bold prediction, audaciously claiming Nvidia could race towards a $10 trillion valuation in the foreseeable future, buoyed by its next-gen Blackwell GPUs. So what's the punchline in all of this financial theater? Perhaps it's the old stock market adage tempered with a bit of humor. If you want to predict the future, start by figuring out what's already here and who's buying it. For Nvidia, the answer seems clear. It's the future, and everyone wants a piece. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Nvidia and AMD outperforming today. They're two of the top stocks in the S&P 500 over the past month. Both are also scheduled to hold AI events early next week. So could that be the next catalyst for these names? Joining us now is head of Melius Tech Research, Ben Reitzes. Ben, happy Friday. We've talked to Nvidia this week. We've talked about Nvidia a lot this week. Where's the opportunity in chips across Nvidia, which has already been huge? Then you got AMD, and you got Intel, which hasn't been doing so well.
Well, you're talking about two of my favorite names right there, Nvidia and AMD. Nvidia just sounds like it's great. I mean, you know, congrats to you to have that great interview the other night with him saying the word insane. I loved that. That sort of tells you what you need to know. Our checks on Blackwell are great. And everybody wants it. That should drive some significant sequential growth in January and then again in April. And then we think the gross margin starts to improve quite a bit on the back of Blackwell after a quarter or two, and that'll get the stock going again. So, you know, we feel pretty good there. We know some folks have voiced some concerns on your network as well, but we're seeing, you know, really good demand. And remember, OpenAI just launched a bunch of stuff, and we're not even inferencing with that stuff yet. And Apple, you know, is getting out Apple Intelligence, which hopefully drives some of the OpenAI. So we feel good there. And on AMD, they got a big event next week. We don't think they're bringing us out there, you know, to lay an egg. And we think that last year on that event, it really popped. And, you know, there is room for number two there. So we feel good about AMD as well.
Speaking of Jensen Huang, here he is with us just a couple days ago.
This is the beginning of a new wave called enterprise AI. And then after that, as we're entering into enterprise AI, we'll simultaneously developing, cultivating the wave after that, which is industrial AI.
So we've got industrial AI that Jensen is talking about. We've also got Apple Intelligence and perhaps an application-driven consumer AI wave. Which is more investable?
Well, I think it's all investable. I think a lot of stuff gets started in consumer, and then it creates actually a lot of interest in the enterprise. And just like what happened when we had the chat GPT mania, then a bunch of enterprises woke up to it. I think as investors, as consumers start using visual intelligence from Apple as well as from Google, their version of that, and those kind of things where you're seeing things with your phone and then asking questions about it, that's going to drive a lot more awareness of AI in general. And I think in enterprise, you're going to start seeing many enterprises want to work with small language models so they can cater it to their industries. And then you're going to also see more adoption of the Nvidia NIMS architecture, which is really going to fuel more enterprise adoption. And we're in the early innings there. We haven't even seen the interest in AI agents, which are autonomous, really pick up. And that's going to be huge. You've been hearing a lot about it from Benioff. I actually think Microsoft's going to drive that more than a SaaS company. We're just in the early innings, John, on so many things. I'm pretty excited.
In wrapping up this narrative of market tectonics, one cannot help but be swept up in the possibility and potential that Nvidia's rise represents. It's not just its current standing that's remarkable, but the trajectory it's poised to follow. Forecasts hint at continued growth spirals, bolstered by its pioneering strides in AI and chipmaking. As Nvidia stakes its claim alongside its Magnificent Seven peers, its mood is one of brazen ambition, marked by a stock that's risen an impressive 181% against Intel's tumultuous dip. For investors, here's the million-dollar question. Will you hitch your investment wagon to Nvidia's star? With its strategic Dow debut, Nvidia offers not just an opening chapter, but an entire narrative of innovation, unmatched growth, and established worth. Yet, the market story is continuously evolving, and the next chapter promises even more thrills. So, where do your thoughts fall on Nvidia's exciting new role? Do you see potential in this shift? Or are you searching for what lays beyond, waiting in the wings for the yet-to-be-discovered leader of the stock market's next era? And finally, if you would like to know what companies like Nvidia have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.